more than 6 months sometimes, or 4 months. How has this one impacted on your development functions and any other implementation of your programs?
Chair, the late disbursement to counties is a big problem, because what happens then, we are forced to prioritize certain recurrent activities. Sorry? I can proceed? Yeah. Chair, it's a big problem, because what happens when we are getting late disbursements going to almost 3 months, then we are forced to borrow from other vote heads to take care of recurrent expenditure. And this completely compromises our development activities. And given that certain expenditures will be constant, then you'll find that you are paying sometimes for people or activities where the actual development activities are not taking place. And this is one issue I think consistently we have been saying, and through the Senate, to try and help counties, to be able to receive exchequer on time. We have just been paying salaries for August. For August, just the other day. So you can imagine what that does, and we're almost now in November. It means we are almost stalled on everything. And if our development budget is almost, like we say, 2.4, if we have got late disbursement of around 600 million shillings every month, then that translates that you have a deficit of almost 1.8 billion throughout. So it becomes very difficult if you add pending bills and all these things. You find you are just in a rat race in terms of what you can do. So that will still be urging that it gets a bit better. For those who are there before, they always tell us that maybe it was a bit better for them than this time. So I don't know what has happened this time. A lot of counties are really suffering.
So maybe finally I'll ask you on the issue of the OSOS. Of course you have approved, but the deficit is too huge. So what plans have you put in place so the deficit can be able to improve your OSOS resources?
Thank you again, Chair. We have mapped out this, and if you look at it in most places, provision of health services really improves on-source revenue, and it also improves in terms of the quality of health services that you are offering. So this is one area that we are trying to push to make sure that our health services is able to deliver, and hopefully to raise almost 50% of our on-source revenue from that. And of course, we have been having challenges, like I had mentioned earlier, the health sector, both in terms of personnel issues, the equipments that were given to the counties, the infrastructure that has also been there that needs to be improved. And as you have seen, that if the development budget is being compromised almost throughout, then it is becoming also very difficult for us to operationalize that. But that's exactly what we are working on. Another issue was to try and reduce on matters of pilferage because of maybe the methods that we have been using to collect, which have still been cash-based, to try and move to a cashless way of collecting this. We also did some other areas other than health, the evaluation roles that are still going on to try and see what we can bring on board. The other activity that used to give us a lot of revenue was trailer fee parking. But because of change of policy within the East African Federation, we were unable to charge that fee currently, and we need to provide for parking spaces for them. That also really affected on-source revenue. So just to mention a few, those are the major ones. If addressed, maybe we could have addressed 80% of our own revenue source problems.
Okay, I think one other thing is that I can see you have a very long list for stall projects, about 127. So it is over since the start of devolution, or is a recent list?
Yeah, that is the whole list.
Or since the inception?
Yes.
And this was apply for this now to be completed.
Yeah.
When do you think you can complete this list?
Chair, I think as I had alluded earlier to a member who had asked the same question, we said that we have already done verification because we were required when we came into office to do verification of pending bills, and we have a report. And we are also required to allocate a certain percentage of our budget towards paying pending bills. But as I had told you earlier, because of the budgeting problems that were there, we have ended up with a deficit. You know, you have projects which in real sense there was no money. It would appear like there was money from what you saw when we presented on-source revenue projections over the years. That created a budget deficit of almost 2.7 billion shillings. So we can never say that this was budgeted for and where is this money. The money was not there in the first place because it was an exaggerated budget that was never realized, and yet procurement processes went ahead. So we have to look for money and budget for those projects because the money was not there in the first place.
Your Excellency, our team has just brought to my attention the provisions of Section 37 of the PFM Act. It says, that is 37.1, that is approval of annual budget estimates by the County Assembly. Where a County Assembly approves any changes in the annual estimates of budget under Section 131 of the Act, any increase or reduction in expenditure of a vote shall not exceed 1% of the vote ceiling. So it would seem the law has actually provided in the PFM Act.
What about the County Government Act?
No, but you would be, for purposes of budget, the primary law is actually the PFM Act. And if I were you, I would be actually seeking to enforce this provision. I think maybe we can look at that, but as you indicate, please give us in writing the thinking. One of the things we're doing as we are meeting governors where we find there are hitches or the law is gray, those are some of the amendments we need to bring on board in order to better the implementation. But just take note of that, and for our team will also actually be reviewing that. Two more things for me. You are at 45% expenditure on personnel emoluments. What is your strategy to reduce that so that we get more money to development? And then finally, you are a border county. And as a border county, I don't know whether you are taking advantage of the intergovernmental relations to enter into strategic MOUs with the national government to support, for instance, on the delivery on health. I don't know, but I believe your health facilities must be servicing non-Kenyans and Busia residents. And I'm just wondering what intergovernmental mechanisms you've entered into to get national government to take responsibility for some of the things that are outside the county's purview that come as a result of you being a border county.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with the last one, and I'll ask my CC Finance to respond to the first question. The second one is true. We are frontier county, and we are dealing with a lot of cross-border, not just the neighbors, but even within the region. And we have engaged even the Ministry of Health previously in this kind of discussions. But unfortunately, Chair, I have to say that we haven't made much ground other than maybe just, promises that maybe certain things will be done. But so far, we are just still on our own, other than a facility where, again, courtesy of the Kenya military, we had a trauma ward. Was it a 200-bed or how many capacity? It's a 100-bed ward capacity for trauma, courtesy of KDF. But on the other ones, we are still haven't made much progress in terms of national government cooperation. But we have engaged. Chair, even in terms of personnel, the only orthopedic surgeon that we had unfortunately passed on during the COVID period. And we agreed that those are very important personnel that the county needed to be supported. But unfortunately, again, we haven't been able, but we have engaged. We have list and evidence of our engagement on this, which we can provide if the Senate so directs. Maybe on the second one, I will ask my CC Finance to respond.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair. I'm responding on the measures we put in place to reduce the high expenditure on personnel emoluments, and it's on page 5, number 7. One of the measure on the response, one of the measure is that we are doing payroll control measures, whereby we have carried out the payroll audit exercise. We are conducting also the staff head count for all staff. We are also very keen on adhering to payroll regulations and accurate financial record keeping in accordance with the compliance policy on the payroll, regular training and capacity building for all staff on payroll, with the issue of working on a succession plan. We are also working on domestication and implementation of a payroll policy once the national policy is adopted and implemented in terms of the resolutions of Wage Bill Conference 2024. We are also working on the conducting of a skill audit exercise amongst other current staff in order to align the same appropriately. The second measure we are putting in place is reviewing a staff establishment. As part of the measures to address the problem, the County Public Service Board is at the tail end of reviewing the staff establishment, a process that should be completed by end of this year. We are also working on implementing performance contracting, which we already signed the performance contract between the governor and the CS members, and we are cascading it down to other members of staff. We have their evidence on Appendix 7 of the payroll audit and evidence of review of staff establishment and performance management and productivity enhancement on Appendix 7.
Honorable Matata.
Yes, I just want to ask His Excellency, I'm a bit confused by the figures. The absorption of 41% development, budget implementation, is it on 16% or on the whole budget? And if it's on 16%, does it mean that the absorption was of the development budget was only 7% of the budget?
Thank you, Chair. That one we have corrected that it's not 16%, but 41%, which is evidenced in our attachment of the CPROP, the county budget and outlook paper, and then. It is on Appendix 1G. 1G. The first part is the COB report, and the second part is county budget review and outlook, which we published, and the development project absorption rate was 41% and not 16%. Thank you, Chair.
G. Appendix 1G.
By the way, did the COB discuss the report with you? Because we picked the 17%, whatever from COB.
Thank you, Chair. We have attached also the COB report there.
The extract from the COB report.
Chair, my question seems not to have been understood. Yeah. My question is, maybe I make it simpler.
Yes.
What was allocated to development in the entire budget? What percentage was given to development?
Thank you, Chair. It's 30%. The budget for development, 30%.
That's what was allocated.
Yes.
So then the absorption rate, it should be on the 30%.
Yes.
So the 30%, when you put an absorption rate of 20% on 30%, what do you get? I just want to get the percentage right, eh?
It's not about absorption rate. Now, as
Absorption
it's
rate.
10. But of course, initially you budgeted for 30%.
But it looks out like it should be an absorption rate is being run as an absorption rate of the entire budget.
Actually,
But-
that is what is, when the COP gives the report, they are giving an absorption rate of the exchequer release.
Yeah, so my confusion is that that percentage doesn't seem to be correct, but that can be looked into so that they just lay out what percentage was really of the budget was absorbed, because if it is, if the for 20% is on 30%, then the percentage of absorption of the whole budget is much smaller percentage than what is being presented here. That's what I'm looking at. And then number two, there's a big problem in Busia with the supplementary budget. Maybe, if I may ask, Your Excellency, what is your understanding of a supplementary budget? Under what conditions can you have a supplementary budget? Is it a routine issue, or are there preconditions for a supplementary budget?
No, it's okay. I think for me, the supplementary budget, as you implement the budget, you look at how your implementation is going and your needs are, and then you can review the budget through a supplementary process. That's my understanding of it.
It's a totally wrong understanding. It has no bearing on the law.
Mm.
The law is very clear. Maybe
Yes.
maybe somebody should read for you the Article 223 of the Constitution. There are very, very clear provisions for when you can do a supplementary budget. It's not a discretionary issue. It is laid down in law, and Busia is abusing that facility by moving money around from the budget.
Senator Omtata, maybe you could be very specific.
Pardon?
You can specifically say that.
Yeah, because I'm saying, if you look at money has been moved, like the ECD for infrastructure, all money was moved out.
Okay.
Which document?
I'm talking about the supplementary budget that they had. I've done an overview of the budget. So you find that if the supplementary budgets are only used in unforeseen and unavoidable circumstances, that's under Article 223 of the Constitution and Section 135 of the Public Finance Management Act and Regulation 39 of the Public Finance Management Act regulations. They clearly specify when you should use a supplementary budget and what percentage can be moved. If you look at the supplementary budget that was done on the earlier budget, it is totally against the law, because it was no unforeseen or an unavoidable circumstance that led to that. You will find even a huge components were introduced, like scholarships were introduced through the supplementary budget. They were not in the original budget, and they took quite a big chunk of money, you see. So there's been a big abuse of the supplementary budget, and the problems you are getting with the implementation of the budget in Busia is anchored on the use of the supplementary budget the way the governor has explained. That you look around after spending and then you see what you need to adjust. That's not the law.
I think, Your Excellency, Governor, when you're doing your supplementary budget, actually it's on net basis and not haphazardly done. What percent of the original budget have you divert?
If we are specific, because there is no particular supplementary budget that we say this is this. As we say, it's sometimes driven by certain needs, and as my senator has put it, in compliance with the law, because it has to go through the whole process and even be reappropriated in the assembly. You know, it's not just a matter of the executive. It has to go through the law. And maybe if there was some specific areas, as the senator is saying, maybe we can be able to look at it and then be able to respond.
There was 107 million shillings.
Which document? Guide us, please.
The supplementary budget.
These have it here.
I don't know if I've applied it. I was not able to go.
That's supplementary budget here, in your document. Finance chair, lady.
Do you have the supplementary budget for the first supplementary budget your government made? Is it attached? Yes.
These are two. Would 150 be? Are you looking at it? Senator, help us with you.
So you get like the allocation of 107 million for scholarships.
Senator Omtata, please guide us.
I didn't use
on
this
the
document.
documents,
I
please.
got this document later, but I had done an analysis on my own of the supplementary budget, and there was an entry of 107 million.
But in all fairness, it would be good for us as a committee to read from the same page as you, because we are struggling to look at now.
Well, there was this issue. No, the problem is that I got the documents late. Even it was this morning that she sent it to me. But I done an analysis, and I looked at the responses. The responses were like economizing on the truth.
Senator,
So,
it
what
would
I'll
be good
do-
if you share with us your analysis and share with them as well, so that we then look at it. Because now we are just spectating in our own meeting.
Are we able to print our document? I can print. If you can print, and I can email you.
Okay, we're printing and proceed with the rest. Any other donation?
Your Excellency, do you people have your supplementary the budget for us to look at it, so that Senator Omtata can actually point us to the particular item?
Chair,
Do you have it?
Chair, I think as guided by the letter distributed to us on 4th of October, that is the information that we supplied.
Okay, I think
And in this letter, I can see my senator is also copied.
yes.
Yes.
What we can do is actually, I will ask Mheshimiwa Omtata to give a copy to this committee and to the executive, I mean, so to the Busia governor and his team. And maybe I think you can respond later on later date.
We are well guided.
So can you proceed, Mheshimiwa Omtata? I think I've done a ruling that they can ready to give us a copy.
Yeah, okay.
We share with us the information, and then we can ask for the response in the telephone.
Honorable Bunga, please let's have one meeting.
Okay, any other? You have to give more time, my friend. This is the first day you appearing in my committee.
I'm appearing in this committee.
Yes.
I also did not know the weighty matters you handle. I think we handle very weighty matters.
We do have all the issues to do with the devolution.
And Busia,
Honorable Obuga, please let's have one meeting. If there's no another.
We go through the process. On the specific issue of ECD, to me it goes down to what you have just told us, to look at the lacuna in the law. Because we really wanted to put money to finish ECD classrooms. But the assembly removed all the money. So it was not us, the executive, who did that. The assembly, in their own need, they removed all that money. And this is where I think I've stated to this committee, between the PFM Act and the County Government Act, which one should, be prevailing in this kind of case. So it was not that we did that in ourselves as a county government. It was a process through the county assembly where all those funds were removed, and to which, in my view, was a big problem, because if you look at some of the stalled projects here in the documents we have provided, most of them were ECD classrooms, which we thought we should finish. But the money was just, all of it, redistributed to various ward projects. And as I said, it's a process. It's not something that we just decide. We make suggestions, take to the assembly. The issue is what percentage the assembly can vary the budget. I think, to me, that's the question you have asked us here, and which I have repeatedly said that the Senate needs to help us to verify. I mean, to really come out of this kind of thing.
Chair, in all due respect, Chair, and we do hear the Senator of Busia very clearly, and I think it's a major concern. But still, we need to be fair to the governor. I think in future, this committee may want to engage the specific county senators, so that if they have issues we need to raise with their governors, they are brought to the committees on time, so that we are all on the same page, because so that we don't get introduction of new materials, and new questioning to the governor on the spot without us having given him a fair time to respond to such. Because if we had this information prior, we would have put it to the governor, and the governor will be answering us properly.
Chair, Senator Mtata is out of order. He is speaking in our meeting.
Mheshimiwa Mtata, you're out of order. I think was rightly said by Senator Tobiko. I think in future, please, give the senators time so they can be able to submit what they want to ask. So they can be on the same page.
If I may, Chair, respond to that. We did send him the responses and the submissions. We sent when they were sent to us, and we sent him the invitation on this meeting a week prior, and he received a reminder yesterday. Yeah, and we have the screenshots to that effect.
Fine, I think I'll give benefit of doubt to Honorable Omatata. Mheshimiwa Senator, what you do, you give us that, whatever you wanted to us to know, then we can be able to write back to the committee, the county, and they will get back their responses. But as rightly said by the governor, he said that this thing was moved by the time by the assembly and not them who registered it.
Yeah, but whose signature is on the budget? Who signs the budget into law? It is the governor, and that's why he's the governor.
Yes.
He should be able to rein in the MCS when they are going to do something against the law. Because to remove money from ECD, which are in a sorry state, which is a core mandate of the county government, and to allocate it to other things, to me was something that's not wrong. And the governor signs the budget.
In fairness, after the budget comes from the assembly, can you really change it?
Rejected. Ruto just rejected the finance bill the other day, President Ruto.
I think that will go to mediation. They can't reject it. It's just like you telling me to do the Kara things. We do the Kara and then the other things we change it, but the governors cannot refuse it. Yeah.
The whole thing still boils down to interpretation of the PFM Act, the role of the county assembly in the budget,
Okay,
and the County Governments Act.
We will address that.
If that can be cured, we will cure this problem.
We'll cure it, actually.
We will cure the problem.
The finance committee.
That's where we have a problem.
Okay.
FM. We are in charge. More radio. 88.2 FM. We are in charge. More radio. 88.2 FM. We are in charge. More radio. 88.2 FM.